Hey, it's Mary Beth Shaw from StencilGirl Products. I wanted to know if any of you are into decorating magazines like I am. I just can't get enough of them. I love flipping through decorating magazines like House Beautiful, Veranda, this one's gorgeous, even Architectural Digest. And when I go through them, I cut out or rip out things that I like. And typically, what I like is heavily patterned things and layers on layers on layers, and kind of all the things that I like in my mixed media work. I love like this powder room with this extensive this extensive wallpaper. I guess it's probably wallpaper. And while I probably wouldn't do this in my house, I would sure love it in my art. And I often get ideas for color schemes and all sorts of things when I'm looking at magazines. So imagine my delight when I see these new stencils by Margaret Piatt. She has such a great eye for design, and I think, for me anyway, her designs remind me of some of the stuff that I adore in magazines. The stencil I'm going to use today, I'll show you in a second, but here's one that I'm dying to use. Check this out. It's a whole scene, like an underwater scene with the fish, the lily pads, the other water flowers, the shore flowers, a frog. I mean, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And to me, it reminds me of an uber detailed wallpaper that I would want to try to recreate in my work. I could even see using something iridescent on that fish and or embossing powder on top of that fish. Could you imagine? Maybe a little glitter. Oh, it would be gorgeous. But I digress. Check out this one. Wildflowers and these thistles and these other flowers. Absolutely beautiful. Another stencil that for me would help me create a really beautiful background that was so lovely. And this mushroom stencil. I mean, look at these. The level of detail with these is just extraordinary. And I think mushrooms are so hot right now. You could create like red mushrooms and all sorts of fantastic colors that maybe or maybe not exist in real life. These last two that I want to show you are the ones where she's divided the page into almost like just like little squares. I think they look like woodcut designs, and I really love these. I am very anxious to make some parts using these and then keep them on hand for when I need a greeting card or I need just a special collage element that's maybe that gorgeous fox. Look at the tail on that guy. And this deer really speaks to me as well. Plus the owl. That owl is so cute. So anyway, I am pretty excited about these. The one I want to show you today is one that is, to me, it reminded me so much of this one image that I had cut out. I mean, it's not the same, obviously, because this is Margaret's work and this is from a magazine. But I am inspired by it, and I wanted to create something similar to this result. So what I'm going to do is set the black paper aside, and I am going to try to recreate something. I have just a piece of the Dick Blick sulfur paper, which sulfite paper, I guess it's called. It's the Dick Blick brand, and I keep it on hand for situations like this where I'm just trying to play and experiment, and I really don't even have anything particular in mind. I did pull some colors that I thought might work with the inspiration piece. So I have Paper Artsy paints, the fresco finish in concrete and nougat, which I thought might work for the background. I'm not sure. Lake Wanaka I thought might work. And then there are some lighter areas in here that sort of look a little greenish to me, and I thought this Amsterdam Naples yellow green would be perfect for that. So I'm going to shake the paints up, put them, I'm going to move this to the side so you can see the paint here. There's the blue, and here's a little bit of the green. All right. Now, I want to put down a little bit of background. I'm going to keep this here in front of us so we can remember what we're going for. And honestly, the background of the paper is maybe the most appropriate for this. I'm not 100% on that. We shall see. This is nougat, and I'll just go across here with some of it. And I can see it's got quite a... maybe isn't showing up on the film, the monitor, as much as it is in person, but it has quite a pink effect in person. Concrete, I think, is going to be a little on the gray side. So let's see how that goes. Yeah, that one's kind of gray. Now I could probably mix these two and make something similar, but I have a feeling that the background of the paper is just going to be the best way to go, because it seems like it looks more like what I'm going for. When I do things like this, and when I'm experimenting and playing, what I do is save the results, and then I tear them up and use them as collage elements later on. So nothing is ever wasted here. So let's put the stencil down, and you can probably see I've been playing with it already. And you know what? I think we'll stencil over maybe all of these areas here and see how it goes and how it looks. I have a sponge. It's a little damp, so I'm going to squeeze it out in a paper towel. And I'm going to start with the blue, pouncing the paint onto the sponge and pouncing it off. If you've worked with me before, you know that for me the key to getting a nice stencil result is to use less paint and to keep the paint kind of on the dry side. So you pounce it on and pounce it off, which is what I'm doing here. That gray is still a little dry, or still a little wet under there, so that might actually blend up with the blue. We'll have to see what comes out, since we've got 3 different backgrounds going on here. All right, I've got some of that blue spread around, and now I'm going to go right into the green, the real pale green. I'm not even going to clean the stencil or use another size. I'm just going to stick with this, because I just want to use a little bit of it here and there to get that hint of another color. You know how it is. I don't want to absolutely replicate this, but I want to create something that's kind of reminiscent. So here we are, and here's our inspiration piece again. Now all of these are actually kind of nice. I think I like all of them for different reasons. The gray paint was still a little damp in the background, and it didn't come out exactly as I had intended, but I think these 2 sections are quite nice. And I think we could probably even use some different blue down here, get some more of this. I just want to show you how you can use a magazine page as inspiration and then take it in your own direction. So I think this is looking pretty good so far. But when I look at this, I see a look of almost drawing on it. So that is the next thing that I would do, is just take a regular pencil and go and rather loosely kind of create some drawn effects. This also helps you make it more your own rather than just relying on the full, stencil to carry you. You can go in and it looks a little bit like you've drawn and then maybe painted and a little bit of everything. So you can do a lot of different things. And it's not my intent to make a finished piece of art here, but more to give you ideas for how you can use your stencils in a variety of ways. Okay, so I believe this is you'll see that there's more depth there already. Now, another way you can go in is with pencils that are either pastel pencils, or this happens to be a set of oil pencils. So they're a little bit waxy, kind of, they're not like an oil stick. They're not that creamy, but they do have a creamy effect. So I'm going to go for the white, because that's one of the things that, if you look closely here, these have some white effects. This one I didn't even stencil that much with the paint, so that's a nice look anyway. Then you could also add a little bit more of the green if you wanted to do a little bit more green. So many ways you can go with this, right? You do have an opportunity to smear these oil pencils a bit with your finger. I love the feel of them. I just got these for Christmas, and, well, you know, never saw a pencil I didn't like. However, I have to say, I legitimately like these. Now, I had imagined that these pencils were going to be, since they were oil-based, that they were going to be more permanent and would resist like watercolor and some other effects. And I will say that they don't do that to the extent that I was hoping. Now, they're still wonderful pencils, don't get me wrong. I do love them, but they just didn't do everything I thought they were going to do. And that was just my expectation. And so, but you can see how you can just pop out some highlights, easy peasy, when you have, you know, a white pencil like this. You can even use it to blend a little bit. So the other thing that you could do, of course, is to get a brush and go back with a smaller brush and go back with the paint and add more detail that way too. So you have so many options. And again, this is going to help you move into a realm where it is not as obvious where the stencil starts or stops. You know what I mean? It starts to look a little bit more finished and a little bit more handmade. And I like that. So here's a piece I did earlier, a little quick sketch using the stencil and the materials I've shown you. And I think we might be onto something here. What do you think? I look forward to seeing how you address this in your own art, and if you come up with some ways to be inspired out of the pages of a magazine. This is Mary Beth Shaw from StencilGirl Products. Thanks so much for watching.